Is she the one they stopped? Something's wrong.
Right.
Detective, she's cooperating.
She hasn't moved wrong.
I didn't ask you. Why are they doing that?
That was not in my vehicle. Detective, we should photograph the compartment first. Stand down.
Did anyone see it before you opened the van? Connected to a trafficking route.
Is your body camera recording?
You don't get to run this stop.
Camera's not showing a light.
Then fix your face, not the camera. Say the time.
What?
Say the time you claim you found it. Why is she looking at the clock? Do we move?
Not yet. Let him finish the mistake. Put her in cuffs.
They laughed when Marcus Hale handed them the final invoice for rebuilding the jet. A black single dad in a faded work jacket, standing under the hangar lights with grease on his hands, asking to be paid for the work that saved their aircraft. "You should be grateful we let you touch it," the executive said, while his daughter waited outside with a backpack and a cold sandwich. But why did every pilot suddenly refuse to fly that same jet? What did Marcus know about the engine that no one else saw? And why did one quiet phone call make the whole company freeze, stay until the end, because the man they tried to erase had already left proof behind? The invoice trembled only at the corner. Marcus Hale held it beneath the white hangar lights, while the jet behind him ticked and cooled. Rain tapped the roof. Near the open door, his daughter's backpack scraped a folding chair. Grant Whitmore looked at the paper, then at Marcus's cuffs. "This number is fantasy." "It is the number in the contract," Marcus said. Elaine Porter stood behind Grant with a tablet to her chest. Derek Sloan had moved close enough for Marcus to smell starch in his uniform. Grant smiled toward the mechanics. "You rebuilt one section under supervision. Don't act like you saved the aircraft." Luis Ortega lowered his eyes. Maya Ellison stopped by dispatch, one hand on the radio. Marcus folded the invoice so the total stayed visible. "I replaced a damaged mount, corrected routing, documented heat distortion, and ran the vibration check your team skipped." Grant's smile thinned. "You were brought here for labor, Marcus, not theater." From the doorway came a small voice. "Dad?" Lila stood with one backpack strap hanging off her shoulder. The airplane pin on the flap caught light. Marcus did not look away. "Wait by the chair, baby." Grant glanced at her. "Good. Then let's not make this uglier in front of your child." The hangar narrowed around that sentence. A compressor coughed once and died. Elaine slid a document onto a rolling table. "We can issue 1/3 tonight. Sign here acknowledging the rest is under review." "There is no review clause." "There is now," Grant said. Marcus read the top line, "Voluntary adjustment." The word sat there, neat and harmless, placed like a trap. Derek stepped in. "Sign it and clear the floor. This area is restricted." "It wasn't restricted when I was under that engine for 19 hours. That was before you became disruptive." Captain Owen Briggs entered in a dark jacket. He carried a tablet and a release form. He stopped when he saw Marcus boxed in. "Problem?" Briggs asked. Grant turned too quickly. "Contractor dispute." Briggs's eyes dropped to the invoice. "Is the aircraft released?" Grant's jaw worked once. "It will be." Marcus said, "Not by me." Briggs lifted the tablet. "I have a departure slot in 40 minutes. I need a clean sign-off." "Internal maintenance can handle that," Grant said. Briggs set the tablet on the wing stand. Everyone heard plastic meat metal. "No," he said. Grant blinked. "Excuse me?" "I'm not flying an aircraft whose repair mechanic refuses release. He is not the lead anything. Did you refuse because of money?" Marcus shook his head once. "Because the final heat cycle wasn't witnessed, and the vibration trace needs a second read." Maya's fingers tightened around the radio. Elaine's pen slipped from behind her ear and hit the floor with a tiny red click. Grant stepped closer. Captain, you work for us. I work with gravity, Briggs said. Gravity doesn't care what finance approved. Derek reached for Marcus's elbow. Marcus stepped back. The invoice quivered under the cold light. Lila crossed the wet concrete and placed her backpack against his boot. Briggs picked up the release and drew a line through the blank signature field. Until this is resolved, he said, that jet stays on the ground. At 3:18, Lila Hale came out of Savannah Middle Arts with her jacket half-zipped and a paper airplane folded from homework in her hand. Marcus waited by the curb in his blue pickup. Warm air pushed through the stuck window, carrying bus exhaust and cut grass. A paper dinner bag sat on the seat. "You're late," Lila said. 4 minutes. "That counts." He gave her the bag. "Turkey sandwich, apple slices, no mustard." She peeked inside. "You remembered. I have a system. You wrote it on your hand last time." He showed both palms, clean except for grease. The airplane pin on her backpack clicked as she hugged it to her knees. "Is tonight the camp money job?" It might help. Mom would have said not to skip sleep. Your mom said many correct things. Her laugh faded when his phone buzzed. Coastal Meridian Air glowed on the cracked screen. "Hale." A woman's voice came through the speaker. "Mr. Hale, this is Maya Ellison at dispatch. Operations wants you earlier." "How much earlier?" "As soon as you can make it. Mr. Whitmore says the client moved the demonstration." "To when?" "Tomorrow morning." Only the tires answered. "Send me the work order and prior engine logs," Marcus said. "They're incomplete." His fingers tightened. "Incomplete how?" "A note says internal review cleared it. No attachment." "Send what you have." Lila held the sandwich without eating. That sounded bad. It sounded rushed. That means bad. It means we read twice. Coastal Meridian Air sat behind black gates, all tinted glass and white hangars under a clouded sun. Derek Sloan leaned from the booth. "Name?" "Marcus Hale, contractor." "You bringing a kid into a restricted work site?" "She'll stay in the visitor lounge until my sitter gets off shift. This isn't a daycare." Marcus kept both hands on the wheel. "No, sir." The gate arm lifted with a dry buzz. "Hangar 3, Derek said. "Don't wander." Inside, the air turned cold. It smelled of solvent, rubber, and polished concrete. The jet waited under suspended lights. Luis Ortega, broad-shouldered and gray at the temples, met Marcus beside an open tool cart. "You Hale?" Marcus nodded. Luis shook his hand, then frowned. "You've turned wrenches before." "A few. Operations made it sound like they sent a patch guy." Marcus looked at the engine panel. "Then let's disappoint them." Luis almost smiled. He handed over a tablet. "Logs are thin. Last crew marked a vibration complaint. Then it vanished." Marcus scrolled. His thumb stopped on a heat reading with no follow-up test. From the visitor lounge, Lila pressed her hand to the window. Her airplane pin flashed. Marcus lifted 2 fingers. Grant Whitmore crossed the hangar with Elaine Porter beside him. He did not offer his hand. "You're early enough," Grant said. "Good. We need this bird presentable by morning." "Airworthy," Marcus said. Grant's eyes moved over the faded jacket. "Presentable first. Airworthy is what paperwork is for." Marcus looked back at the tablet. 1 missing attachment. 1 erased complaint. 1 engine cooling too fast on paper. He set his tool bag on the concrete and took out a small flashlight worn silver at the edges. "Then I'll start where the paperwork stopped," he said. The red pen was already uncapped when Marcus entered the glass office. Elaine Porter sat with her tablet squared to the conference table. Grant Whitmore stood at the window, watching the jet as if it belonged to him. "Sit," he said. Marcus remained by the chair. The room smelled of lemon polish and old coffee. Through the glass, Luis worked beneath the open cowling, and Lila waited in the lounge with a math book on her knees. Elaine slid a page forward. "We need a quick amendment before you continue." Marcus read the top line. "Reduced emergency service rate. Payment subject to client approval." This is not the work order. "It reflects scope uncertainty," Elaine said. "The scope became uncertain after I found missing logs." Grant turned. "Careful. Don't confuse availability with authority." Elaine tapped the red pen against the signature line. Click, click, click. "Sign now, finish the repair, and once everything clears, we'll revisit the balance." "When?" "After internal review." "Who performs that review?" She glanced at Grant. Marcus folded the page once and set it flat. "No." Outside, a socket rang against concrete. Grant came closer. "The client landing at 10 tomorrow does not care about your feelings." "Neither does a turbine." Elaine looked at him instead of the paper. Grant's jaw moved. "You think that sounds clever?" "No. Heat distortion near a mount needs an answer before anyone smiles beside that airplane." There was no heat distortion in the report. There was no attachment. Elaine pulled the tablet closer. The previous crew marked the complaint resolved. By whom? It says maintenance. Maintenance has names. Cold air moved across Marcus's wrists. Grant placed both palms on the table. "If you slow this down, you will be blamed for the delay. If you finish, you get paid something. If you embarrass us, you get nothing." He turned the contract so the signature line faced Elaine. "My daughter is outside because this job was supposed to pay for a program she earned. I understand money." Elaine's fingers tightened around the pen. Marcus continued. "I also understand what happens when a form says safe and the metal disagrees." Grant stared at him. "You people always turn business into speeches." Marcus did not answer. Grant straightened his cuffs. "I mean contractors." "No," Marcus said quietly. "You don't." Elaine pushed the pen closer. "Mr. Hale, please. We need cooperation. You need my signature. You're not getting it on that." Grant's phone rang. "Preston, everything is under control." Marcus caught pieces. Demonstration. Optics. No excuses. Grant ended the call. "Our owner expects this aircraft ready. Then he should want it checked. He wants professionals." Marcus slid the amendment back. "Then let them read the logs." The red pen rolled from the contract and stopped against his knuckle. Grant leaned close enough to smell mint. "Finish the job. Keep your name off the release. We'll say maintenance supervised." Marcus looked through the glass at Lila's backpack, where the airplane pin caught light. "When this aircraft moves," Marcus said, "my notes move with it." On Elaine's tablet, a line blinked in red. Prior vibration anomaly unresolved. The bolt rolled out from under the engine at 9:47 p.m. It made 3 quick taps across the polished concrete and stopped near Marcus's boot. He bent, pinched it between 2 gloved fingers, and held it under his flashlight. Luis whistled low. "That did not come out clean." "No," Marcus said. The bolt was small, darkened at the threads, with a crescent mark worn into one side. Warm metal smell mixed with solvent. Grant's voice carried from the office. "How much longer?" "Long enough to know why this mount shifted." Luis wiped his hands on a rag. Internal notes said the mount was inspected. Inspected is not replaced. Maya's radio crackled at dispatch. Derek stood by the hangar door. Luis leaned closer. "You want a borescope?" "I want the old vibration trace." "You asked already." "I'm asking metal now." Marcus guided the camera cable through the access point. The screen bloomed blue-white, then found shadow. A faint line appeared near the bracket. "There," Marcus said. Luis's face changed. "Microfracture?" "Stress mark at least. Pull up the prior temperature spike." Maya walked over with a clipboard. "Camera 2 is skipping," she said. "Since when?" "Since Grant told security to preserve footage from tonight only." Luis stared at her. "That means erase yesterday." "I didn't say that." Under the clipboard sat a printed still from the night camera. Marcus beneath the engine, timestamp visible. Grant at the panel. Derek stepped off the wall. "Dispatch doesn't belong on the floor." Maya turned. "Tell operations to stop calling dispatch every 6 minutes." Grant entered with Elaine behind him. "Why is the panel still open?" Marcus placed the damaged bolt on a white shop towel. "Because this was holding a mount that should not have passed." Grant looked at it like a coin. "A bolt?" "A sign." Elaine hugged her tablet. "Can it be cleaned, reinstalled, and documented?" Luis's head snapped up. "No." Marcus pointed to the screen. "Stress mark on the bracket. I need the replacement assembly, a full torque sequence, and a witnessed heat cycle." Grant laughed once without sound. "We do not have time to rebuild your doubt." "It isn't doubt." Derek moved behind Marcus. "Maybe you're stretching hours." Marcus unplugged the camera. "Maybe someone shortened them before I arrived." The compressor kicked on with a cough that rattled the drawers. Grant's face tightened. "Be careful." Lila appeared behind the visitor glass, holding her math book to her chest. She could not hear the words, but she saw every shoulder in the room. Marcus saw her reflection and lowered his hand from the bolt. "Call stores," he said to Luis. Grant stepped in front of him. "I give orders here." Marcus looked at the engine, not at Grant. "Then give the right one." Luis reached for the wall phone. "Stores, this is Hangar 3. I need a mount assembly pulled now." Grant spun toward him. "Cancel that." Luis froze with the receiver against his ear. Marcus dropped the damaged bolt into a clear evidence bag. The plastic snapped shut. "Either we replace it," he said, "or no one honest signs this jet out." At the dispatch desk, Maya slid the printed still beneath a stack of weather reports, and Derek noticed her hand move. By 8:12 a.m., the hangar had been scrubbed of night. The oil pans were gone. Tool carts had been pushed behind a partition. A silver rope crossed the concrete, leaving Marcus on the wrong side of his work. Lila stood beside the visitor chairs in her school uniform, hair pulled back too tightly because Marcus had done it in the truck with one hand on the comb and one eye on the clock. She held her notebook. "Stay where Maya can see you," Marcus said. "I know. And eat before noon." "You said that already." "I repeat correct instructions." She tried to smile. The pencil in her hand looked newly sharpened. Grant Whitmore walked in with Victor Shane, a heavyset client in a blue suit, and Nora Keene, a reporter with silver hoops. Elaine followed with a folder pressed to her ribs. Grant clapped once. "Ladies and gentlemen, Coastal Meridian Air is proud to show what our in-house team accomplished overnight." Luis, near the partition, looked at Marcus. "In-house?" Lila whispered. Marcus did not answer. Grant guided Victor toward the open panel. "Our mechanics identified a minor mount issue and kept the schedule intact." Nora lifted her recorder. "Who led the repair?" "Our maintenance department coordinated every step." Marcus felt the cold rope against his thigh. The lights washed the floor so bright the concrete looked wet. Lila stepped forward. "My dad!" Marcus turned just enough. "Lila!" She stopped, the pencil bent in her fist. Victor glanced down. Sweetheart, grown-ups are talking. The words landed softer than a shout and stayed longer. Marcus set one hand on Lila's shoulder. Write down the time. What? The time? Who said what? Just facts. Grant heard him. This is not a classroom. No, she learns faster in rooms like this. Elaine's eyes flicked to Nora's recorder. Grant lowered his voice. Do not create a scene. You invited one. Nora turned the recorder toward Marcus. And you are, Grant cut in. Temporary help. Labor support. Luis stepped over the rope. He found the bracket. Grant snapped his head toward him. Luis? And the bolt, Luis said. He ordered the mount assembly. Victor's smile faltered. There was a bracket issue? A small one, Grant said. Marcus looked at Victor. Not small enough to ignore. Nora kept the recorder raised. Is the aircraft cleared to fly? Grant laughed. We are ahead of final paperwork. That is not an answer, Nora said. Derek appeared by the visitor lounge door. His keys clicked. Lila moved closer to Marcus, still writing. Her pencil had left a dark streak across her palm. Grant pointed toward the office corridor. Step away from the presentation. My tools are under that engine. They will be returned. My notes are in that log. Everything official belongs to the company. Marcus pulled a folded copy of the work order from his jacket. This belongs to whoever signed it, he said. Nora's eyes tracked the paper. Victor looked from Grant to Elaine. Lila pressed her notebook tighter. On the top line, she had written, 8:19 a.m. Temporary help. Grant's smile finally slipped. From the far side of the hangar, Captain Briggs entered and stopped when he saw the rope line, the reporter, and Marcus standing outside it. Captain Briggs did not cross the rope. He stood by the hangar door with his flight bag in one hand and the release packet in the other. Rainwater darkened his shoulders. Grant recovered first. Captain, we're almost finished. I'm not here for that. Briggs set the packet on the wing stand. I need the release. Elaine moved, as if relieved to have a form between them. Maintenance will provide it. Whose maintenance? Our internal team. Briggs looked past her at Marcus. Did you sign off? No. The answer made the hangar louder. Grant stepped between them. Mr. Hale is no longer directing this process. Briggs opened the packet. Then show me the final heat cycle. Elaine tapped her tablet. It's pending upload. Witnessed by? Grant's mouth tightened. Captain, you know our standards. I know your paperwork. I know the difference between a completed test and a hopeful sentence. Lila wrote that down. The pencil trembled, leaving graphite along her palm. Derek came closer. Sir, the floor is restricted. Then restrict me after I refuse. Victor lowered his phone. Nora's recorder stayed up. Grant forced a laugh. This is unnecessary. No, Marcus said. Everyone looked at him. He pointed to the release form. The signature line is empty because the second vibration read isn't done. Elaine's red pen appeared. Mr. Hale, you are not authorized to make statements. He is authorized to make factual ones, Briggs said. Grant's cheeks colored. Captain, if you decline, we will document it. Good. Briggs took the pen from Elaine and drew a line through the blank signature field. Document this. I will not fly an aircraft whose repair mechanic refuses release. The pen scratched loudly once. Lila stopped writing. Grant stared at the crossed-out line. You don't understand the pressure on this schedule. I understand pressure. Pressure is why metal fails before people notice. Near dispatch, Maya slipped a sheet over the camera still. Grant pointed at Marcus. He is turning a billing dispute into a safety issue. Marcus placed his notes on the wing stand. It was a safety issue before it became a billing dispute. Nora asked, "May I see those notes?" "No," Grant said. Marcus did not move the papers. Briggs leaned over them. His finger stopped at the margin. Heat cycle unwitnessed. Who witnessed the torque sequence? Luis cleared his throat. "I did the first pass. Final pass hasn't been done." Grant spun. "Luis." "That's what happened," Luis said. Derek reached for Marcus's elbow. "Step outside." Marcus looked at Derek's hand, then at Lila. "Don't touch me in front of my daughter." Derek stopped. For 1 second, nothing moved except rain sliding down the open hangar door. Grant turned to security. "Escort him out." Briggs picked up his flight bag. "If he leaves, I leave." Victor stepped back. "And if you leave, Captain?" Briggs closed the packet. "Then this aircraft stays exactly where it is." Elaine's tablet chimed. A red notice flashed before she could tilt it away. Release required before client boarding. Lila wrote the words, but Marcus watched Briggs place the unsigned packet flat on the wing stand, where the empty line seemed brighter than the lights above it. The security desk sat behind glass that made every voice sound smaller. Derek placed Marcus's badge on the counter at 8:41 a.m. The plastic clicked once and stopped face up. "Access suspended," Derek said. Marcus kept his tool bag on his shoulder. "By whose order?" "Operations." Grant stood near the lobby doors with Elaine. The hangar noise was muffled. Carts, rain, cold air through vent. Grant adjusted his cuff. "You were asked to cooperate." "I was asked to sign a false adjustment." Elaine stepped forward with a folder. Her red pen was clipped to the top page. 1/3 tonight. We process it before close." "And the rest?" "Subject to review." "By you." Her lips pressed together. Lila sat near the vending machine, notebook open on her lap. Blue light hummed over her face. Grant walked closer. "You rebuilt what we allowed you to touch. I documented what you tried not to see." "Careful?" Derek said. The lobby smelled of floor wax and coffee. "I am being careful." Elaine placed a document beside the badge. "Voluntary payment correction. Sign, take the partial transfer, and leave your notes for maintenance." Marcus read the first paragraph. He had misunderstood the rate. No dispute existed. Coastal Meridian Air would be released from future claims. Lila's pencil stopped moving. Marcus folded the paper without creasing it. "No." Grant's smile disappeared. "Then you get nothing today." Derek slid a gray tray across the counter. "Company tools." "They're mine." Anything used on the floor is subject to inspection. Marcus opened his bag. Wrenches, calipers, inspection mirror, the worn silver flashlight Lila had given him last Christmas. He placed each item in the tray except that one. Derek pointed. "That too. My daughter gave me this." "Tray." Lila stood. "Dad." Marcus set the flashlight down. Its body rolled against the calipers and stopped. Elaine would not meet Lila's eyes. Grant leaned over the counter. "You wanted to make this about dignity. Dignity doesn't pay invoices." Marcus touched his shirt pocket. Beneath the fabric, the small recorder pressed warm against his chest. "Dignity keeps people from signing what they know is wrong," Marcus said. Derek tapped the badge. "You're done here. Not with the aircraft. With this building." The guard buzzed the lobby door open. Cold morning air rushed in, wet and sharp. Outside, the parking lot shone black under rain. Lila followed him. At the threshold, she turned toward Elaine. "You heard him," Lila said. "You heard all of it." Elaine's hand tightened around the red pen until the cap bent. Marcus put a hand on Lila's shoulder. "Come on." They crossed the parking lot without running. Rain darkened Marcus's sleeves. Behind the glass, Elaine stood beside the unsigned document. At the truck, Marcus opened Lila's door first. "Why didn't anyone help?" she asked. Marcus wiped rain from his face. For a moment, his fingers could not find the key. "Some people need proof before they find courage," he said. "And you have proof?" He looked through the windshield at Hangar 3. Marcus reached into his shirt pocket and felt the recorder still running. "I have their voices," he said, as the tiny red light blinked against his palm. Rain stitched silver lines across the windshield. Marcus sat behind the wheel without starting the truck. The hangar lights blurred behind them. Lila kept her backpack on her lap, as if someone might take that too. "Dad," she said, "your hands." He looked down. His fingers were still curved around nothing, shaped like the flashlight Derek had taken. "They'll return the tools." "That's not what I meant." A shuttle cart sprayed water over the curb. Two mechanics watched from the awning, then looked away. No one came over. Lila turned the notebook toward him. "I wrote it all." The pages smelled of pencil shavings. Timestamps filled the lines in her square letters. Temporary help, voluntary correction, dignity doesn't pay invoices. Marcus touched the page. "You shouldn't have heard that. You always say facts matter." "They do." "Then why did it feel like facts didn't matter in there?" He had no quick answer. The rain filled the pause. From inside his jacket, he took the old photograph behind his license. Grace Hale stood in front of a classroom, safety goggles pushed onto her hair, smiling at something outside the frame. One corner was bent white. Lila leaned closer. "Mom." Marcus nodded. "Why do you keep that one?" "She took it the week she made me promise something." "What promise?" He rubbed his thumb over the bent corner. The cab smelled of wet denim, old vinyl, and turkey sandwich Lila had not eaten. "She said if I ever had to choose between being respected and keeping people safe, I had to let respect wait." Lila stared at the rain. "That sounds like Mom. She also said I was stubborn." "That sounds like Mom, too." A laugh almost came, but it stayed in his throat. His phone buzzed. "Maya," he answered. "Marcus," she whispered. "Derek is asking for yesterday's footage." "Did you keep copies?" "Stills, not everything." "That's enough." He saw me move one. Through the rain, Derek's shape crossed the lobby glass. "Go back to your desk. Don't argue." "They're deleting your work orders." "Then let them delete copies." Maya breathed in. "Luis says stores pulled the mount assembly. Grant is trying to assign it to internal maintenance." "Tell Luis not to touch final torque without a witness." "He knows." The call ended. Lila wiped a foggy circle on the window. "If they fix it now, can they still say you didn't?" "They can say anything." "That's awful." "That's why we keep what doesn't change." He slipped the recorder from his shirt pocket. The tiny red light blinked. "It got everything?" she asked. "Most. Even what he said about me being there?" Marcus stopped. "Yes." A water drop from her hair landed beside the word dignity and spread the graphite. Marcus started the truck. Near the security doors, Elaine stood under the awning, tablet against her chest. Then Grant appeared behind her, and she turned away. Lila buckled her seatbelt. "Do we go home?" "We go somewhere dry." "The diner?" He glanced at the photograph, then tucked Grace behind his license. "The diner," he said. As he pulled out, his phone buzzed again. Unknown number. The message held no name, only a photo of a blank work log with his entry erased. Beneath it were 4 words. "They started removing you." At 9:06 a.m., the first tablet closed on the wing. Captain Briggs pressed the cover down with 2 fingers. The hangar was bright enough to make every smudge show, but nobody moved toward the stairs. Grant stood near the nose. "We have a demonstration window." "You have an aircraft without a clean release," Briggs said. Elaine held her tablet tight. Internal maintenance completed the correction. "Who witnessed it?" Luis wiped the same wrench twice. "Not me." Grant lowered his phone. "Luis, choose words carefully." "I am." Captain Renee Walsh entered from the crew room, gray hair tucked under her cap, weather folder under one arm. "Owen, they're asking if I'll take second rotation." Briggs handed her the packet. She read the crossed-out line, then Marcus's note about the heat cycle. "No." Ben Carter shifted his bag. "No for me, too." Grant laughed once. "One contractor has frightened a room full of pilots." Renee looked at the empty signature line. "No, one empty line has." 6 miles away, Marcus sat in a corner booth with Lila's notebook beside his coffee. The vinyl seat stuck to his damp shirt. Grease still lined the cuts around his nails. Lila had fallen asleep with her cheek against the window, her backpack under her arm. The airplane pin rested against the glass. His phone buzzed. A photo came from Maya, 3 tablets lying closed on the wing. Under it, another image showed the release form, the signature line still empty. Briggs refused. Walsh refused. Carter refused. "Grant is trying to remove your name from work logs." Marcus read it twice. Across from him, Grace's photograph sat beside the salt shaker. The waitress came with more coffee. "You okay, honey?" Marcus turned the phone face down. "Yes, ma'am. Thank you." But his hand stayed around the cup until the heat bit his palm. Back in the hangar, Derek moved between employees. "No photos. Phones away." Maya kept her radio clipped high and her screen angled low. She had already sent what mattered. Elaine whispered to Grant, "If the pilots won't board, Victor will call Preston." "Then call Preston first," Grant said. "Tell him we're handling labor interference." Briggs heard him. "Don't put that in writing unless you want to read it later." Rainwater dripped from the threshold in steady ticks. Victor Shane appeared at the office glass, phone pressed to his ear. Nora Keene stood behind him, with her recorder lowered, but still in her hand. Renee placed her tablet beside Briggs's. Ben added his. 3 black rectangles sat on the wing. Grant pointed at them. "Pick them up." No one did. At the diner, Marcus's phone buzzed again. This time, the message was a photograph. A work log entry, his name highlighted, then the same page refreshed with the line gone. Lila woke as he pushed back from the booth. "What happened?" He slid bills under the coffee cup. "Pilots said no." "All of them?" "Enough." "Are we going back?" Marcus put Grace's photograph into his wallet and folded her notebook closed. The paper still carried the gray blur where rain had touched the word dignity. "Not yet." Outside, the rain had thinned to mist. His phone lit once more with Maya's name. "Don't come alone. They're changing the story faster than I can save it." Marcus parked behind the airport diner, not in front. The sign buzzed in the wet morning. Lila followed with her backpack held to her chest, shoes squeaking on tile. Luis Ortega sat in the last booth. Maya sat across from him with both hands around coffee. "You said not to come alone," Marcus said. Maya glanced at Lila. "I didn't think you'd bring her. She stays where I can see her." Lila slid beside him and opened her notebook. Luis pushed a napkin across the table. A small black flash drive lay on it. "Camera stills," he said. "Before Derek asked for the purge. You under the engine. Grant at the panel. Timestamp clear." Maya added, "Work order export from 6:12 a.m. before your name disappeared." The diner smelled of burnt toast, coffee, and rain on jackets. "How did you get it?" Maya swallowed. I emailed myself the dispatch packet when Grant told me to clean the trail. Luis gave a dry laugh. Nobody says clean trail when things are clean. Lila wrote that down. A woman in a tan coat stood from the booth behind them. Nora Keene held her recorder at her side. "I'm not here to ambush you," she said. Luis stiffened. "Then why are you here?" "Because Victor Shane left the hangar saying a safety dispute was buried as a labor problem." She nodded toward Lila's notebook. "And because some people there took better notes than adults." Lila lowered her pencil. Marcus said, "Off the record until I say otherwise." Nora sat at the end of the booth. "Agreed." Maya placed her phone on the table. The screen showed the damaged mount, the crescent-worn bolt on a white towel. "They deleted the entry," she said, "but not the parts request. Stores still shows Luis called for the replacement." Luis rubbed his forehead. "They'll claim internal maintenance found it first." "Can they fly without those pilots?" Nora asked. "Not that jet." "But can they pressure someone else?" Marcus looked through the window. Beyond the fence, a fuel truck crawled by with its orange beacon turning. "They can always pressure someone. That's why paper matters." Maya slid another printout forward. It showed a blank work log uploaded after Derek came to her desk. The space where Marcus's name had been looked colder than ink. Lila touched the edge. "They erased you." Marcus covered her hand with his. "They erased a line, not the work." The waitress came with a pot. "More coffee?" "No, thank you." She glanced at the papers, then at Marcus's grease-dark hands. "You folks need anything else?" Maya whispered. "A safer table." The waitress pointed toward the back hallway. "Storage room's got a door." They moved past syrup boxes and a humming freezer. The room was cold enough for Lila to pull her sleeves over her fingers. Nora set her recorder on a crate. "When did you first know the aircraft wasn't ready?" Marcus placed the flash drive beside the unpaid diner check. "When I saw what the paperwork refused to say." His phone buzzed. Captain Briggs. "Mr. Hale," Briggs said, "Grant just called an emergency review without you." "Who is in the room?" "Everyone who needs someone to blame." Marcus looked at the flash drive. "Then tell them I'm on my way," he said, "and tell them I'm bringing the parts they forgot to delete." The room had no windows and too much light. Marcus entered at 10:32 a.m. behind Captain Briggs. Lila stayed on his left, Luis carried a folder, and Maya came last with her badge turned backward. Grant sat at the head of the table. Elaine held her tablet like a shield. Derek guarded the door. A woman Marcus had never seen set a legal pad in front of her. "Harriet Cole," she said, "independent aviation auditor." Grant's chair creaked. "This is an internal review." It became independent when 3 pilots refused a company aircraft. Briggs put his flight bag on the empty chair. "Then I'll stand too." The air conditioner hummed, flat and cold. Lila sat against the wall with her notebook, airplane pin tilted sideways. Grant spoke first. "We have a billing dispute that a temporary mechanic inflated into a safety concern. Mr. Hale influenced pilots with incomplete information." Harriet wrote one word. "Influenced?" "Emotionally," Grant said. Harriet looked at Marcus. "Did you ask any pilot to refuse?" "No." "Did you refuse release?" "Yes." "Why?" Marcus placed 3 pages on the table. Unwitnessed heat cycle. Unconfirmed vibration trace. Replacement mount installed after my access was suspended. Elaine's red pen stopped moving. "Those are allegations." Luis opened his folder. "Parts request from stores. Time stamped before suspension." Maya slid a printout beside it. "Dispatch export before the log was altered." Grant turned sharply. Maya. She kept her eyes on Harriet. I was told to clean the trail. Harriet tapped her pen once. Who used that phrase? Maya unlocked her phone. Mr. Whitmore. Marcus removed the small recorder from his jacket. The red light no longer blinked. He set it on the table. It has enough context. Grant pushed back. I object to unauthorized recording. This is not a courtroom, Harriet said. It is a safety review. Play it. Grant's voice came through the speaker. Finish the job. Keep your name off the release. We'll say maintenance, supervised. Then Derek's voice. Sign it and clear the floor. Then Grant again. Dignity doesn't pay invoices. Lila's pencil stopped. The room heard the click of Marcus placing his flashlight in the gray tray. Grant's skin had gone pale. Private frustration does not change technical fact. No, Marcus said. Technical fact changes technical fact. He slid the flash drive across the table. Harriet plugged it in. The screen showed Marcus beneath the engine, Grant near the panel before dawn, and the damaged bolt on white cloth. Luis pointed. That bolt was not cosmetic. Briggs added, That note is why I refused. Harriet turned to Elaine. Why was Mr. Hale's name removed from the work log? Elaine's red pen slipped from her fingers and rolled to the center of the table. Derek reached for it, but she whispered, Leave it. The pen stopped against Marcus's invoice. Elaine swallowed. I was told the contractor attribution created exposure. By whom? Grant's chair creaked again. Lila wrote the question down, as if each letter had weight. Harriet closed the laptop halfway. Mr. Whitmore, answer carefully. The next question decides whether this review stays inside the company or leaves this room with my signature on it. Grant Whitmore did not answer until the air conditioner clicked off. Without the hum, the room leaned toward him. Elaine's red pen lay against Marcus's invoice. Lila's pencil hovered, waiting. Harriet Cole repeated, By whom? Grant folded his hands. Documentation decisions are made at several levels. That is not a name. It was a judgment call. Yours? His eyes moved to Preston Vale's empty chair. I was protecting the company from confusion. Briggs made a sound. Harriet turned to Marcus. Your work order lists you as contractor, not lead engineer. That's correct. Do you hold current certification for this repair class? Marcus reached for his wallet. Derek shifted. Marcus placed 2 cards on the table. Harriet examined them. Airframe and power plant. Inspection authorization active. Elaine looked up. Harriet's thumb stopped on the second card. And this number? Marcus watched Lila tuck the airplane pin flat against her backpack. My old test engineering number, he said. Grant gave a brittle laugh. Old being the key word. Harriet opened a secure database. Spell your middle name. Isaiah. She typed, waited, then turned the screen toward herself. Her face changed before her voice did. Harriet pulled a faded technical report from her folder. 6 years ago, this company avoided a full engine recall after a revised heat cycle method identified mount stress under load. Briggs stepped closer. She slid the report across the table. It stopped in front of Grant. The signature at the bottom read, Marcus of Hale. No one spoke. Lila's pencil touched paper, but she wrote only one word. Dad. Grant stared at the name. That report was from Meridian Aerospace Testing. Yes, Harriet said, before the division was sold and renamed. Marcus kept his hands folded. I left after my wife got sick. Elaine's shoulders lowered by an inch. Harriet looked at him. You designed the method you asked them to repeat? I helped design it. A team did the work. And the unwitnessed heat cycle? would have been the exact failure point the method was built to catch. Briggs put both palms on the chair back. That's why the note looked familiar. Grant pushed the report away. If he had credentials like that, he should have disclosed them. Marcus looked at him. You never asked what I knew. You asked what I cost. The sentence sat on the table beside the red pen. Maya covered her mouth. Luis looked at the ceiling. Elaine closed her tablet. Harriet wrote 3 lines. Mr. Whitmore, you represented a recognized technical authority as temporary labor, removed his attribution, and attempted to release an aircraft without the test tied to his prior safety method. That is an interpretation. That is the timeline. Grant's phone buzzed. Preston Vale appeared on the screen. Harriet placed the report on top of Marcus's invoice. The owner needs to join us now. Derek opened the door before anyone asked. Outside, the hangar had gone still enough that the rain sounded like static. Lila tore the page from her notebook, folded it once, and slid it across to Marcus. He opened it under the fluorescent light. Dad. His fingers stayed on the paper while Harriet dialed Preston Vale on speaker. The hangar did not fill with noise when Preston Vale arrived. It emptied of it. Tool carts stopped rolling. Rain softened against the roof as Preston, silver-haired in a dark travel coat, crossed the concrete with Harriet Cole beside him. Grant followed 2 steps behind. Elaine carried Marcus's invoice. Derek waited behind the glass. Lila sat in the front row with her notebook on her knees. Marcus stood beside her without his badge. Preston faced employees. I was told there was a disagreement. Harriet handed him the old report, the altered log, and the parts request. There was a sequence. Preston read. His thumb paused over Marcus's signature. Grant cleared his throat. The aircraft is safe now. Captain Briggs stepped forward. I have not accepted it. Renee Walsh said, Neither have I. Ben Carter lifted one hand. Same. Preston looked at Grant. Why was Mr. Hale removed from the work log? Company oversight, Grant said. Luis spoke from the back. He was under that engine while we waited. The microphone squealed when Nora Keene brushed it. Preston turned. Press? Invited by your company for a success story, Nora said. Lila's pencil moved. Success story. Elaine stepped forward. The invoice is valid. Grant stared at her. Elaine. She did not look at him. The reduction document was prepared after Mr. Hale raised the safety issue. His name was removed after Mr. Whitmore said it created exposure. The hangar held that sentence. Harriet asked, And Mr. Sloan? Elaine swallowed. He suspended access under operations instruction. Grant reached for the microphone. My intention was to protect delivery. The microphone squealed again. Preston said, Apologize to the man, not the schedule. Grant turned toward Marcus. His mouth formed something polished. Marcus raised one hand. Don't. Grant stopped. I don't need a sentence you can survive, Marcus said. Pay the bill. Correct the log. Finish the test. Preston studied him. Full payment today. Elaine nodded. I'll process it. Corrected attribution in every technical record, Preston said. Harriet wrote, And Mr. Sloan is relieved from access authority pending review. Derek lifted his head behind the glass. Grant's hands closed. Preston, you're making this public. You did that when you tried to make safety private. No one clapped. That made it heavier. Preston faced the employees. This aircraft does not move until Captain Briggs and the auditor accept the release. No one backdates a record. Elaine opened Marcus's invoice. Her red pen trembled. She signed, then held out the page. Marcus took it. His eyes went to Lila. She had stopped writing. Her pencil rested across the page, leaving a dark line beneath Dad. Grant turned to him. "Mr. Hale." Marcus folded the invoice once. "Say it to the room." Grant looked at Luis, Maya, and the pilots. "I misrepresented Mr. Hale's role and judgment." "And?" Harriet asked. His throat moved. "And I attempted to separate payment from the safety process." Lila's pencil rolled from her notebook and struck the concrete. Marcus picked it up and handed it back to her. At the far end, the jet waited with its panel still open, no longer shining like a prize, but like evidence. The new policy draft arrived on cheap white paper. Marcus stood in Preston Vale's glass office at 4:26 p.m., still wearing the damp jacket from the lot. Beyond the wall, Hangar 3 had returned to careful motion. Luis checked torque values. Briggs stood near the wing. Preston laid a pen beside the document. "Full payment has been released." Marcus did not reach for the pen. "That settles the invoice." Preston looked up. "Not the rest." "No." Elaine sat at the end of the table, tablet closed for the first time all day. Grant was not in the room. Derek's access card lay in a sealed envelope. Preston slid another document forward. "My legal team prepared a confidentiality agreement." Marcus read the first paragraph, then placed it back. "No." Elaine's fingers moved toward her red pen, then stopped. Preston said, "You haven't heard the offer." I heard the word silence. Outside, a socket clicked. The sound seemed cleaner than the morning had. Lila sat on the couch with her backpack against her knees. Her airplane pin had tilted loose. Preston folded his hands. "What are you asking for?" Marcus took the invoice from his pocket, now stamped processed, and laid it on the table. Then he placed Harriet's draft policy on top of it. Independent audit after major engine work. No release without a witnessed heat cycle. No contractor name removed from logs without written notice and auditor approval. Harriet nodded once. "Payment terms locked before emergency work begins," Marcus said. "A complaint channel mechanics can use without going through the person pressuring them, and security cannot suspend access to hide a safety dispute." Elaine looked down. Preston turned a page. "That is a lot of procedure. It is less than a funeral." No one moved. Lila's hand closed around her backpack strap. Preston's face changed. "All right," Elaine whispered. "Company-wide changes require board review." "Then board review starts tonight." Harriet said, "I can write the interim order before the aircraft leaves." Marcus pointed to one line. "Add payment protection for small contractors." Preston read it. "You think this happens often?" Luis appeared in the doorway. "It happens quietly." Maya stood behind him. "People learn not to complain because the door always belongs to someone else." Elaine closed her eyes. Preston picked up the pen. "Then the door changes." He signed the interim order. The pen scratched across the page. Marcus watched ink dry above the invoice. Preston held the paper out. "Mr. Hale." Marcus took it, then gave it to Harriet. "Keep it where no one can misplace it." Harriet slid it into a clear folder. "Copies to pilots, maintenance, dispatch, and audit." Lila stood and walked to her father. She unclipped the loose airplane pin, pressed it into his palm, and took the silver key from his truck ring. "What are you doing?" Marcus asked. "Fixing it," she said. She clipped the key beside the airplane on her backpack. Preston watched her. "That's the key to what?" "Our old truck," Lila said. "And getting home." Marcus's throat moved once. Outside the glass, Briggs lifted his tablet toward Harriet. The final heat cycle was ready to begin, this time with every name still on the page. 3 weeks later, The jet rose from the Savannah runway at 7:04 a.m. Marcus stood behind the fence with Lila beside him. The morning smelled of wet grass and jet fuel. Her backpack rested against her knees, 2 pins clipped to the flap, the little airplane and the silver truck key. When the wheels left the ground, she pressed her shoulder against his arm. Captain Briggs's voice came from the speaker near operations. "Clean climb. Vibration normal." Luis, watching from the service door, let out the breath he had been holding. Maya wiped her glasses with her sleeve. Harriet Cole marked the final box on a clipboard and handed a copy to Preston Vale. "No exceptions next time," she said. Preston nodded. "There won't be." "There will be pressure," Marcus said. Preston looked at him. Marcus kept his eyes on the aircraft. "Pressure is why rules need witnesses." By noon, Grant Whitmore's name had been removed from the operations directory. The company statement said he had resigned after the review, but people inside Hangar 3 knew his authority had ended at the microphone. Derek Sloan was reassigned pending training and left before the month ended. Elaine Porter stayed. She completed ethics review, lost signing authority for contractor adjustments, and sent Marcus a payment confirmation without one extra sentence. He did not answer it. At the diner, the waitress taped Nora Keene's article beside the pie case. The headline did not call Marcus a hero. It said, "Mechanics warned. Pilots listened. Company changed course." Marcus liked that better. Luis tapped the paper with 2 fingers. "They spelled my name right," he said. Maya smiled into her coffee. First miracle of aviation journalism. Lila was doing homework in the booth, but she looked up. "They spelled Dad's right, too." Marcus turned his cup so the handle faced her. "Finish your math." "You always say that when you don't know what to do with compliments. Then finish 2 pages." A week later, Hale Aero Works received its first envelope from another state. Then another. Mechanics, dispatchers, small contractors, even one retired pilot wrote about invoices delayed, names removed, warnings softened until they sounded polite enough to ignore. Marcus stacked the letters beside Grace's photograph. On the first Saturday of May, Coastal Meridian opened a room named Safety Review. No plaques, no speeches. Harriet led the first session, while Preston took notes like everyone else. Elaine placed red pens in a drawer and gave out black ones. When it ended, Lila tugged Marcus toward the window. The old pickup waited outside, sun flashing on the windshield. "Do you want the key back?" she asked. He looked at the silver key on her backpack, hanging beside the airplane. "No," he said. "Keep it where you can see it." "Because it got us home?" "Because it opened more than that." That evening, Marcus locked his shop after the last invoice cleared. He stood under the same white light that had once made a piece of paper shake in his hand. This time, the paper was folded in his pocket, paid in full, with his name printed where no one could erase it. Lila waited by the truck, backpack over one shoulder. "Dad, are we going?" Marcus looked back at the dark hangar, then at the runway where the sky had turned gold. "Yeah," he said. "We're going." The key moved softly as she walked. If this story stayed with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever seen someone's work dismissed, their name removed, or their dignity tested because someone with power thought they could get away with it? Tell us what happened, or simply write the name of someone who kept doing the right thing when nobody was clapping. Share this story with a person who believes fairness should not depend on status, title, or appearance. And subscribe for more stories about justice, quiet strength, and the kind of changes that happen when ordinary people refuse to sign what they know is wrong.